Welcome back to Static in the Feed, everybody. I am Botch TV, and today I want to take a look at behind the commentary, behind the voice that you guys hear in my WWE 2K universe, as well as plenty of other videos when it came to my sports announcing gaming content. Now, this isn't easy. People hear the loud, passionate voice that comes with doing all of this, but what they don't see or hear is the preparation, the multitasking, and the mental juggling it takes to make it all sound seamless and real. So, when I'm on commentary, I project loudly and passionately. Sometimes you'll hear me go, "Welcome everybody to Noble Pro," and I am your host, Botch TV, and here we go, we got a night full of action. See? That's all part of the performance. But what isn't performative is my passion for it. That is something that you cannot act out. And I don't care how good of an actor you happen to be. There's no faking passion. No matter what. But projecting that passion isn't just about the volume. It's about pacing, energy, and knowing when to push harder or to pull back. And that takes practice. And it takes focus. Back when I was doing the shows live and it was RCW, Ravage Championship Wrestling, instead of pre-recording them much like I do now, people always asked me, how do you switch from doing the announcing to acknowledging someone in stream chat without breaking character? So that was something that has always been asked of me. And the answer really is it's just a balancing act. You're narrating the action, you're keeping the energy high, and at the same time, you're looking over, scanning your chat for comments. It's kind of like juggling two different sides of yourself. The announcer that is locked into the show and the streamer that is connecting with the audience in real time. With Michael Cole, he's looking at a bunch of monitors about what's about to happen, what he's supposed to mention, that kind of stuff. He kind of has all the papers in the outline. He's broadcasting for the people at home and whoever is next to him, bouncing off with Corey Graves or whoever happens to be next to him. And so it's a little bit different for him because he is projecting for the people watching at home. Whereas I was projecting the people watching me in real time, live, looking at their chat. Whereas Michael Cole, he had to pay attention to the matches on the monitors. And here's another layer that most people don't realize. Until very recently, I wasn't using two controllers to control every aspect of the match. That meant that I had to rely on AI, even though that I've had custom sliders that impacted the game. No matter how much you try and impact the game, the AI is still going to really do dumb things. And there's even some dumb things that happen despite me controlling with two controllers. It's just how the game works. So I have to maneuver around all of that and take that into account when I'm recording or when I was doing the shows live. I would often keep bullet point notes about what spots I wanted to hit in a match, plus mental notes for how to adapt if the AI decided to reverse something or decided to do something crazy. And sometimes that made for some really good moments. So commentary for me wasn't just about reacting to what was happening. It was about anticipating what was going to happen, adjusting, and then weaving those changes into the story without breaking flow at all. Behind the scenes, what took this show to be put together the way it is, with promo segments and backstage segments and whatever else, there was a lot of prepping. There's notes, there's storylines, there's pacing cues, there's even reversals in my head. There's a reason why I've set certain moves the way I have them set. Because the game has to animate those moves, and the character has to execute that animation. And with the reversal prompts, I can kind of anticipate, okay, you have 2 spots to reverse this move here, or you only have 1 spot to reverse this move. So it's really juggling all of that stuff at the same time. So commentary is really the storytelling. Look at how wrestling was during the pandemic. There was still commentary, but there was no fans, where you could hear the wrestlers like talk, and it was very jarring and weird because the wrestlers would call the action in the ring. If you have a bunch of crowd noise screaming, you don't really hear that too often. Unless there's like a mic near the wrestler and it just happens to hot mic, and something like that could happen. What I loved about it the most is that there were certain moments within that commentary when I watch the stuff back, whether it be clips or a full match, and I'm like, you could have done better there in calling that. Or, you could have done something else there differently. I look at the commentary that I did years ago when I first started in 2018. And yes, I had a different setup, a different mic, different everything, really. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just perfecting my audio and making it sound all crisp and golden like it does now. It was mostly just figuring out where I went dead silent and where I could have improved. You can know a bunch of moves and terminology, but still be not so great at telling a story. A lot of people say that some people have the voice for radio, commentary, whatever the case is. I've always been told that as a young boy that I had that kind of voice. I don't know, maybe you can judge since you're listening to this podcast right now. There's been times where somebody has asked, how do you go into commentating a move? And the answer, you can't really give them, because there's no right way to do it per se. There's good and bad way, but there's no right way. And the reason being is that you can have as much knowledge of a sport that you're commentating and as much terminology, but that doesn't equal being a great commentator. If I can't feel that fan element while watching a sport, or if somebody's voice is just not compelling to listen to, then I'm not going to watch them. It's the same thing as streamers or content creators. Some of us can watch a 240p video or a 360p video or a non-HD video and be fine. Not all of us have NASA internet and are able to stream at high bit rates or whatever. Most of us can stream at least at 720p 60 frames. Unless a video is like horrendously laggy, most of us can watch it and have it be fine. But if you're not pleasant to listen to, or the audio is just god awful, if you're not pleasant to listen to, then nobody's going to watch you. And nobody's going to want to listen to you. I've had people lurk in my streams, which means, in case you don't know what that is and you're new to the streaming world, it means you either have the volume really, really low, or you have the tab muted for someone so that they count as a view. I've had people tell me where they have the volume at really, really low and they're listening on into the background. And they tell me this. And I'm not trying to gas myself up here. I'm just giving an example for you guys. Picture this. You are watching someone like me, and you're hearing the commentary. You're hearing the loud energy, the passion, and everything. But you're not seeing what's going on. That's the objective of the commentator. Is that even if you can't see, you can feel the energy. I mean, before television, there was radio. And there still is radio of some of your favorite sports team games, whatever happens to be going on. And it's exactly that. So every time that I get in my little corner of my office, or my room rather, to go and record a podcast or go and record a match, I give 110% of that. And if I feel like I'm faking it, I redo it. Or if it's not really as good as I thought it would be, I redo it. Maybe that's a blessing and a curse, I don't know. But going back to what I was saying earlier about somebody pulling up my stream and leaving the volume on super low. I've had people tell me, and this isn't just friends that have watched me. These are people that have just followed me or recently subscribed, where they will say, I don't have to watch your shit to be entertained. I just have to hear you. And it didn't really click for me at first. But then I realized, wow, I don't really like to give myself an ego. I've always kind of been taught to humble myself, if you will. And maybe I just don't realize the abilities that I have. Because, I don't know, it's kind of like doing things because you just want to do them. Like holding the door open for somebody and not even thinking about it. Or doing a kind thing and not even thinking about it because it's common courtesy. It's a common human thing that we do. And the reason why I use that as an example is because we don't have to think about those things. You see somebody coming behind you while you're going into a store, and it's not one of those automatic door openers. You have to pull the door open for somebody. It's not one of those like automatic doors, and it doesn't have one of those handicap buttons. So you hold the door open. You don't think about it. You just happen to see somebody out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, oh, they're going in the same place I'm going in, so I'm going to hold the door open. That's kind of how I approach commentary. I don't think about what I'm saying too much. Because if I think about it, then the moment will flash before my eyes, and I won't be ready. And you get better with this as you do it. I mean, duh. That's how we all perfect our skills, right? We keep doing it and doing it and doing it until we, get to a certain level and we just keep learning new things. You can tell when somebody's heart isn't in it. You can tell when somebody isn't really doing it in a way that feels natural. It feels forced. It's kind of like a kid on Christmas morning getting a gift that he doesn't want, so he has to act as if it's a gift that he wanted anyway. I don't know if some of you have seen the video of the kid that gets an avocado, and the kid goes, "It's an avocado! Thanks!" So it's kind of like that, where if I have to force myself to project and make it sound like, holy shit, this just happened, without it sounding authentic, like I'm actually shocked, then it just feels fake. And the audience can see through it, and it just takes them out of the experience. It takes me out of the experience. And even as the one that is writing the stories, choreographing the matches, especially now with two controllers, I still think about I don't necessarily know how this is going to play out. I don't really look at a story until it's reached a certain peak within my universe to where I'm like, okay, let me look back on this and let me see what I could have done to make this better or what I like about it. There are barely any times where I fully watch a matchup back until way later after it's been uploaded, maybe about a week or two, sometimes months, and then I can really digest it because I don't like to watch the matches back completely. Like if I notice that something went wrong, then I just stop the recording and completely record it differently. I don't go back and I watch and I'm like, I already think in my head, all right, you tried to do this spot, it didn't work. All right, you tried to do this, it didn't work. Okay, you made too many mistakes. Let's just scrap this and re-record it again. And luckily, I am not in the ring because you can't do that. You kind of have to pivot and you're kind of like, well, okay, shit, this didn't work. How can we take this thing that was shit because now it's live and you can't screw this up. So now you have to think on your feet. So there are times where I will stumble over my words in the recording and I correct myself really quick. And I've gotten really good about that. And I think doing it live first over transitioning over to pre-recording them actually really helped because it made me realize, like, you're going to fuck up. You're going to mess up. But you're just going to have to roll with the punches. I treat this show like it's an actual wrestling show. So if I miss like a week and I don't do an episode, my mind goes nuts. And I'm like, okay, I got to get this done because it's almost like I'm in the writer's room and I'm like, okay, we have this many weeks until WrestleMania. What are we going to do? That's how I think. And you can judge WWE or not, or AEW or not. But like, if you ever watch like Unreal and you look in the writer's room and they're kind of sitting there with a big ass whiteboard with all of this shit and they're discussing stuff, it makes me wonder, what are we not seeing on that camera? And it makes me wonder, who the hell made this decision at some of the decisions that WWE does? But that is where my mind goes when I'm doing this show. My mind goes to, oh, what's the end game? All right, you want this person to be champion. How do we get here? How do we build? Here we go. And that's the kind of process. At the same time, depending on a person's character, how do I make them over? How do I put them over? What happens with me in commentary is those are those thoughts that I have to think of all the time. And remember when I mentioned a few seconds ago about putting over? Well, I had to really think about this when my good friend Mad Max, wrestler here in Texas, had asked me to do commentary for 2 of his matches. I think he's one of the best that I've seen on the indie circuit in terms of getting a crowd to boo the ever-living shit out of this guy. And I'm not just doing this to put him over on the podcast, but he does this thing sometimes in his entrance where he'll say, yeah, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. And when he started saying that, and he doesn't do it all the time. I noticed that he doesn't do it all the time, but he'll do it and he'll be chirping at the crowd. And I'll instantly take that and I'll call him the biggest piece of shit. The idea of making him be like the biggest asshole in the world. That's my goal as a commentator, is to put the wrestlers over, not myself. And the wrestlers have to focus on getting over with the crowd. And so when I'm doing this for WWE 2K, in particular, the Blackwell family, Bryce and Big Nasty, and how I call Big Nasty, big bitch, or, some type of insult, or Bryce calling him an asshole, and all these other things. There's layers to this that people don't get. It's more than just calling maneuvers. You got to make a heel look like the biggest dick in the world. With Mad Max, it was so easy because just by him saying, I'm the man, yeah, I'm the man, and him chirping in the match, it is so helpful because it gives me little jabs that I can get at him as a commentator doing that 10-minute match, 15 minutes, whatever. I have to give him his flowers for that. I have to give my buddy Mad Max his flowers for that. Because doing those two commentary things for him and doing those two matches for him and actually getting a chance to call a real actual match, not seeing it live, like doing it after the fact, but having to dissect it in a way where I didn't think I would have to, and having to take those cues, whether indirectly or directly, that he was doing, where it was just part of his gimmick, where he was just saying, I'm the man, I'm the shit, I'm this. For Mad Max to have those cues, whether it was indirect or non-direct, whether he was thinking about it when he was going out to the ring or it was just something he was doing out of spite, that helped me as a commentator during those two matches that I commentated for him. Plus, it made Johannes Joseph, who was the babyface in this scenario, it helped me as the commentator make him look great. And I mean, there always is that dynamic of a good heel making babyface look great. And, the heel being so much of an asshole that you really want this guy to get his ass beat. Basically, all of these pieces, heel, babyface, commentator, whatever, all of them coming together to create this spectacle. It's beautiful. Mad Max being able to do that for me, he is a legend for that. I believe currently he still is the TASW Cruiserweight Champion at the time of this recording. I'd love to boo him. He was one of the first guys that really saw something in me as well. Also, a shout out to Nate Bradley, Mr. 5K Nate Bradley. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to Steven Stiller, Nate Slater. Shout out to Texas All-Star Wrestling, because those guys have opened more doors for me than ever. And I'm just a fan. I don't work for those guys. I don't. I'm a guy that has a camera around his neck taking photos of the wrestlers, doing stuff for the wrestlers, either putting them over on social media, or if they're a heel, I'll chirp at them like live at the shows or on social media. And I love being a part of the show, and I love doing that because it helps them. Honestly, I really have to thank Mad Max and Johannes Joseph, and Nate Bradley, all three of those guys in particular, because those guys, they've either shared my photos or given me opportunities that I thought I wouldn't ever have, simply by just saying, hey, check this guy out. Or, hey, feel free to post your shit on your socials or social media or something. Those guys, Nate Bradley, Johannes Joseph, and Mad Max. I give Mad Max a lot of credit, Johannes Joseph, for putting on those matches, not only as phenomenal wrestlers, but those matches made me a better commentator because it taught me how to look for those kinds of cues. I was already good. I felt like I was already in a good place, but having Mad Max come out and do those, I'm the man. Yeah, I'm the man. And then him to chirp at Johannes Joseph in the dog collar match in particular, the Great Bodie as well, which is another match that I commentated on. He was able to give me something to run with. And him just going, I'm the man, and then me going something like, yeah, for sure, you're the man. What kind of man are you? A guy that just attacks people from behind? Like some kind of man, and making him and elevating him in a way. He did that. I feel like I didn't do that because he gave me the cues. I might be glazing him a little bit. And I swear to God, Mad Max, he's probably going to be like, man, he's putting me over. He's putting me over. He's putting me over. This ain't no rib if he's listening to this right now. This ain't no rib, man. He really helped. The commentary that I did on his matches translated really well, even further, into my matches for WWE 2K. I look at matches differently now. I look at, the taunts or the phrases or the things that I've scripted wrestlers to say, like in the promos. So I've taken stuff like that and I've used that and different tidbits and stories to really further along the babyface or the heel. And it's made me pay attention more, especially while watching wrestling, whether it's AEW, TNA, or ROH, or any other product. It's really made me pay attention for those things. And I look at it differently and I study it differently. It's made me so much more of a fan of the product, but also it's given me a different perspective on the product. And that's one of the things that I love about it. And I give credit to Mr. 5K, Nate Bradley, Mad Max, and Johannes Joseph, the Great Bodie, because without those guys and so many others and the staff members of Texas All-Star Wrestling, I don't know where I would be now. I really don't. I've been going to their shows for the past 3 years, and I feel like I'm further along as a human being, and I'm further along in my dream to be in the wrestling industry because I go to these shows every month, and I'm paying the $20-some per ticket to go to these shows. They're not giving me free tickets, man. This is indie shows, for Pete's sake. They're not giving me free tickets. And I'm not just putting them over because they're, guys that have helped me. I'm putting them over because they deserve to be put over. Those guys, they've done the work and they've helped me. They always say, never forget where you came from. And those guys, they've made me a better commentator. They've made me a better photographer. I've learned so much from those guys, just talking with them, having casual conversations, and they don't treat me like I'm just some stupid fan. You know what I mean? Because there are guys that, they're fans of the product. And I don't mean to demean anybody, but there are guys that are fans of the product that don't really get it. They just watch it and they don't get it. But then there are guys like me that do this, and I'm not trying to glaze myself in any way, shape, or form. But guys like myself and guys that really, really love this business, you can really tell the difference between those two. And I really appreciate Mad Max, TASW, Nate Bradley, Steven Stiller, the Great Bodie, Johannes Joseph, and so many others that have really helped push me to that level, that have made me look at my commentary in a different way, that made me study wrestling in a different way. Before them, it was the guys in Nickel City Wrestling back home in New York. It was guys like Sting. It was guys that I've met over the years, like Jerry the King Lawler, guys, like the Butcher and the Blade, and women like Paige, too, who have seen some of the stuff that I've done. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I have to thank the world for them giving me their time. Even if I was paying a ticket to be there at their meet and greet or at the event, it doesn't matter. They don't owe you the time, right? And, the fact that they're willing to speak with me for a couple minutes during those intermissions at TASW, there's 2 intermissions usually. There's usually one before the main event, and there's one like in the middle of the show that they do. During that time, they usually come out and they're looking to sell their shirts, and I'll end up buying one of their shirts or something, or doing something for them. And honestly, as much as I love buying their merch, I want to do more, like taking their picture or doing commentaries for them, help get them booked to other places in Louisiana and other places like Colorado and across the states, because sometimes certain promoters won't look at your match if you don't have commentary. So, I try to help as much as possible to get their names out there, to put them over, to do what I can to help them. And I want to thank them for allowing me to do that and entrusting me to do the job effectively. As a fan that's only been doing commentary through an effing video game for almost 10 years. I know I say that like it's the be all end all, or it's like I've been doing as long as JR, but I never thought that I would be in this position to where wrestlers are asking me to do stuff like that. Who knows? Maybe some of them will end up on TNA, AEW, ROH, whatever. I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? I greatly appreciate all of you that have listened to the couple episodes of the podcast and dedicating this episode to the commentary and to the storylines and everything that I've created. I greatly appreciate it. I thank you all for joining me on Static in the Feed today to kind of give you guys a little bit of an insight on just everything that goes on, a little bit behind the scenes. If you guys want more episodes like this, don't hesitate to ask for them. I'll gladly do them. I'm always looking for topics. So I want to ask you, what, in your opinion, makes a good commentator? Let me know.